So I received some intel last night from a friend who I trust his sources. He has friends and family in both the military, in the ports, the shipping ports around the US, and in the Pentagon. And he was told that they've all been notified that in 2 weeks' time, the US will go under quarantine with curfew. Okay.
Mhm.
So I sure hope that doesn't happen, though I'm going to take that as truth for now. And we need to have awareness because quarantine pushes a lot of agendas,
Mhm.
and it absolutely sets the stage to push the vaccine agenda,
And they
which,
will, by the way, they will do it. And they're
yes,
absolutely, that's part of it.
okay. And that brings us into microchipping and Agenda 2130.
Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to get a vaccine
Yeah.
for
You're
a
gonna get
virus that's not real.
nastiness. So please, please, please don't get vaccinated, guys. Please don't go around and get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, a month or two ago, I used to avoid this topic because, teach their own. But now that we're moving on a mass culling agenda, stay away from the vaccines, right? Do what you can not to get microchipped via the nastiness in that concoction. So I don't believe that they're going to make you do it. I think what's going to happen is, people won't be prepared, so they'll willingly receive assistance during quarantine period, especially when they're running out of supplies. And they're scared, and of course they're going to go receive the help. And a part of that would be the vaccination that's strongly offered and advised. I do think at this stage you'll have the opportunity to opt out. So opt out, right?
Well, I think they're going to, I feel like they're going to use employees and employee workplaces as a way to basically squeeze people uncomfortably, saying, well, if you are in you're all sharing a public space together in this work environment, it's part of the mandate that you all receive a vaccination, otherwise we can't let you continue working here.
Right.
Things like that. They're gonna make it uncomfortable for people.
Definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Agenda 2130 is a very big deal, guys. Every country in the world has signed off on this. And this cannot go down. This is scary beyond scary.
Yeah.
It is going to push and hurt us into urban areas where microgridding will start, where power gridding will start to shut down, and everything's going to be watched. I mean, I know that I didn't watch it, but I know there's episodes on Black Mirror that showed you exactly what Agenda 21 and 30 were. And again, there's some predictive programming about, hey, here's what's to come.
Oh yes.
We have to stop a lot of stuff right now, guys, because we're beyond a pivotal point.
Yeah.
To assist ourselves in a really big way.
And they're going to impact stocks. They're going to impact money, real estate. They're going to squeeze what they can squeeze because they're terraforming your mind, your body, your soul, your relationship to the earth, your ability to survive, all of it. It's all this is like terraforming.
Yeah, absolutely.
For absolute totalitarian control.
Yeah.
It's manifested destiny for anybody who's read Manifested Destiny. I mean, I remember when I saw that book when I was in grade 8 or something, and it was the words manifest destiny, because I knew it had everything to do with this, that I had to have that book, but I never read it. It was just because it was called Manifest Destiny, and I'm like, this is what's gonna happen.
I never read it. I knew the term.
It is, right?
That's also, again, the money agenda, right? This assists them to shift into the new non-fiat currency, the new electronic currency, the one world currency. So they're really smushing a lot into this
Well, Bitcoin, all of that, that they really want to, they really want to give people the impetus to want to do it. So it's been designed so that a lot of people make a lot of money on it. And it's like, yeah, like
Mhm.
this artificial super cloud tech money that literally leaves you without the opportunity to have anything in your hand, and you're subject to an invisible power that has control over all of you. And then you'll be implanted like you wouldn't believe, so that this is worst case scenario. I mean, really, zombies, the way we know and see it, they seem pretty good compared to
Yeah,
what
because
this.
I mean, microchipping, people are already opting into, yeah, scan my money. You go.
And what
You know?
money? It's, at the very least, have your own cash. At the very least, have your own ability to have that option. Because the moment that you become red flagged, black flagged, you will have nothing, and you will be literally squeezed right into the cage that they
Right.
put you in.
Yeah. And I know this can sound real scary, and I know that we're saying it pretty matter of fact, and it is facts, guys. And fear is a great warning sign to take action.
Yeah.
Okay. Courage is what you do with the fear. And we have the ability to really transmute the fear. We've learned the value of it. Those of us watching something like this, we're awakened enough where we can assist ourselves, we can assist those around us, we can understand the very obvious synthetic signature of fear mongering, and we can hold the calm. We can help everybody,
Yeah.
right? Get more lighthearted, have some more fun, turn off the news, get just enough info that you're aware, and then leave it be. Back off and go play.
Yeah.
Go have some fun. Get back to what's real. Do your due diligence to make it clear that you opt out, you say no, you take a stand, and remember what's important and why you're here, the parts of why you're here to enjoy, because our DNA is activating fast.
Yes. Oh yeah.
They got to scramble on this stuff, guys, because a lot of us feel it. Man, are we popping like popcorn waking up? Our
Mm-hmm.
DNA is coming online so quick.
Mm-hmm. Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
And they're
yeah,
terrified of that. They're
absolutely.
terrified.
Absolutely. Look at the synthetic mock-up. Look at the inverse of the satellites that they want to cover the grid, because that's what we're doing. We're silicate gridding, quantum gridding the world. And they can't stop that. Though they can sabotage it, they can thwart it, they can fragment it, though they can't stop it.
No.
But they can try to beat us to the punch, especially if we stay passive.
Yeah. They can counterfeit it and take over it, and then keep you in an enclosure for, eternity, literally, if they get this right. So you can't want what they're giving you, which is your death, and then complain when it starts happening, unless you absolutely do not take it.
Yes.
Like you can't be like, yeah, I don't want it, and blah, yeah, oh no, and then, but I really like it and I really want it and I'm
Yeah.
gonna have it. you
Right.
can't you either take a stand and you really want to get rid of this, we can do it, absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem, we can do this, because like I say, it's like a minute number of the they compared to all of us. And this is why they're they're doing it because of us, because we are the ones with the power giving it to them. So it's not that we can't. This is so simple for us to rectify. It really is simple, but we have to actually be willing to
We have to do
sacrifice
it. Yeah.
the death candy.
And we have to realize that they really have their very specific rules and regulations around their karmic load. I mean, when you start to register how very particular they are in the way in which they bring forward their karma, which is why they always offer the predictive programmings and the inverted half-truths. Then you can use that to, be one step ahead. Because they don't just throw all the rules out the door. It's not free reign.
Exactly. And I have a great example for this, actually,
Mm-hmm.
which is perfect that this is like a really good example. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways that they expertly know the law of how everything works and then deflect it and put it on and project it onto another is a court case, a court trial. I'm going to use that as an example. Because you will always see that the judge will have 12 people sitting, right? And it's all an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
You have to agree to be a judge, so to speak, to go in a courtroom through a court trial. You have to agree. It's not like oh, you have to do it. You can say no or yes. Right. If you say yes, you go in there. And then the judge is a representative body that are of the elites who isn't making the decision. He's putting it on the 12 innocent people who are the public bystanders, who know nothing, have nothing to do with it, are not karmically tied to whatever it is that they're called in the courtroom to judge. Okay, murder, rape, whatever. These people have nothing to do with it. And isn't it clever that the entire system puts that karma on all these innocent people from society?
Absolutely. That's a great point. Sacred number 12, eh? Yeah, and there's a wonderful channel, Glossa Law, Glossa Text, Glossa. Anyway, this gentleman is Parnun in studying Glossa language. Okay, so there's very specific ways in which to manipulate the true spell casting. It can often be done in text or caps. So when you capitalize all of the letters, when you glossa of a word, you basically redact it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you look at any of the versions of the Bibles that they use in the courtrooms, there's very specific texts that have been glossed, which basically denounces which God you're oathing to. It's very intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
And they implement, as always, maritime law in the judicial systems, right? So it's all spell casting. And it's done so very, very strategically to where you're giving up your agreements. And if you knew better,
right? Yeah, all karma goes to all these innocent people that have nothing to do with it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I have my sticky note right here where I reminded myself that they get around it karmically by trying to impulse us to do it to each other.
Yep. And every time I received one of those court order or notices saying that I was like, I had to go to one of these. I've never been once. I was always like, no. And then they tried to get me to believe that I had to. It was my civic duty.
Yeah.
Okay, because they'll try to pull that. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not my civic duty at all. I said, I have my own court. I have my own world, my own court system. I have nothing to do with yours. This is not mine.
Right.
And they never said no. They couldn't say no.
Right. Because people don't know that.
Yeah, but it's so clear when you see it. It's like, it's painful because this is literally how the elites, they don't have karma because they just put it on everybody and everybody goes, yes, I'll bite the carrot. So all they got to do, I mean, even in as far as, when you present something lethal to somebody and you want to like tip the scales a little bit and have them, enact that so you don't have to, they do it. They find ways to do that. Mm-hmm. And then they're scot-free. So they don't really have a lot to worry about karma-wise because they've done it in such a way that everybody else has taken it on through these agreements of entrapment. And all they get is, death candy.
Right. Absolutely. Now, okay, so let's get into the other agenda of the 5 with the firmament and the refortification of the Van Allen bands.
Yeah.
So let's macro it out a little bit. We've been talking a lot about, you know, the human agendas here.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go into a ton of the ultimate agenda,
Yeah.
though let's get more macro and understand the inverse of the satellites, you know, of what they are. And, you know, for anybody who doesn't know what the Van Allen bands, are, that is a general term coined by the gentleman who discovered them. Though they're the matrix. Mm-hmm. They're the firmament. They are the frequency fence that keeps us in this inverted matrix. If those were to fall, if those were to go down, we would access our 5D immediately.
Yep.
Okay. And so the inversion to counter the astrological shifting of the Van Allen bands, weakening to have access, they're going to refortify it with these satellites. Okay, because they're scared to death of the Van Allen bands dropping, what that means, who's going to come in, who's going to go out, and what they're going to have to finally be accountable for.
Mm-hmm. Because if they continue in their eternity systems, then they can be in here for eternity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is not, this is like an infinity system that is looped. That's the 8. This is where they've worked numerology very well in trapping everything, because everything's a frequency. It comes down to, yes, numerology and your astrology chart is frequency. It's pure and absolute frequency. Everything is frequency. So they've actually manipulated even the numbers. You know, it's 1 to 9. It's not 0 to 9. So you're, you know, everything that they have given you is to keep you within that, you know, confined reality of the infinity systems, Ouroboros, right?
Absolutely.
And as long as they stay in there, they know damn well that they can be in there for infinity. Because y'all, you know, it's the 0 is missing, and there's like manipulation of your DNA through that way. There's manipulation of your chemical synapses, how your brain is actually producing chemicals and your hormones. It's all related.
Yeah.
To that.
If we're pacified and we're geoengineered, we can't actually see what's going on. We can only see this magnetic sun and the mock-up of our moon. Then we're not going to register when it all goes down.
Not at all. It's just going to be like that eternal hamster wheel, torture wheel of like infinite karmic recycling.
Right.
So, which they have to an art.
Karmic Refuge Center.
Absolutely. It comes with its own factory.
The backside of the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like, you know, but this is not just here. Like the entire system, the entire solar system, and the entire like galaxy is actually under this law.
Yeah.
So this is affecting the entire verse.
Yes, this is a big deal, guys. I mean, we're looking at this as a big deal for the world right now. Yeah. We're like, whoa, this is affecting the world. That is micro to what it's affecting the whole universe. Yeah. In a big way.
Yeah.
And we're really counting down, you know. We're counting down. We gotta wake up, guys.
1 minute to
and we are. We're waking up. We're accessing our quantum, you know. We're so powerful already. And I think they're so good right now at monitoring and filtering how much we see, because right now everybody records everything. So the you know, superhuman feats that are happening everywhere constantly, the animals talking and waking up. And I mean, it's so obvious if you were able to just see it all compiled in one stream, you know.
The truth is, okay, the truth is you don't need anything to see because you can. You don't need to go on a plane to go and check something out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to rely on this synthetic inversion. You have, I mean, all people need to do is just experience the very, very beginning of that turning point.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as they would experience that, they would feel the power in themselves. And everything in that split second would change, okay? And you would know that what they're offering you is based on what you are. Only it's
Yeah.
a really dirty, very, very degraded version where you're like the superlative version of it. And yet you're like relying on it so that you're not using your natural gifts. You're not using what you have and what you are. You're actually using these things
Like a
to do
pharmaceutical.
what you can do yourself and do it better.
Yeah. They always mock up nature. I mean, you know, they're always showing us it's a mock up of the real.
Absolutely. Counterfeit. It's a counterfeit reality.
Yeah. So, you know, I want to just rattle off my little list of more physical biological solutions, and then I would really like to get into, you know, for the wrap up, how to help people access spirit and quantum. That's such a big question.
Yeah. And I think those are really good questions, and I need to take a pee break.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about some more physical tools to assist. So solutions, right? Big, big, big solution. Heavy metal detox, guys.
Yeah.
Detox. So this is about DNA. Another thing that I mentioned that I just absolutely love so much, I'm going to repeat it, is Martin Kenny on his channel had mentioned how the CV is an anagram for carnivorous. Oh. It was so good, okay? So good. And of course, how are they saying that this thing came about? Okay, from people consuming, okay? So that's one way in which these toxicities, these heavy metals, all sorts of stuff get implemented into your body. So we need to get real heavy on heavy metal detoxing, chelation, you know, do it hardcore, as Lauda was recommending to me a few weeks ago, the true ancient Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
You know, I every day take my oil of oregano, my activated charcoal. You know, those can at least be your like dailies that are easy to get. Are there any you want to throw in on that one?
Yeah, eat a lot of cilantro. There's something that I do once a week. I make this detox sauce that I keep in the fridge, and it's completely like raw. So I buy about 6 to 8 different cilantro, parsley, everything's organic, okay?
Yeah.
Like real organic. And then I put about 5 lemons in it, about 10 garlics, olive oil,
yeah,
water. I make a sauce out of just that, and it's a pure living sauce.
yeah,
It totally detoxes you on the daily. I eat it every day. You can pour it on vegetables. You can pour it on whatever you want.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And just have that as a part of your daily routine, because that one's a huge, it tastes delicious. Okay, so I also do a soup, and the soup is basically if it's in the winter, it's a winter soup. In the summer, it's a summer soup. And it's another detox soup. And you can have it cold or you can have it hot. And it's cauliflower, broccoli, spinach, kale, and then you can throw in whatever you want, seaweed if you want, or anything like that. So once you mix it together, you only boil the water, then you throw in your broccoli, your cauliflower, and you wait till it gets soft. You're not boiling it.
Right. You're not
Just
leaching the minerals.
right. You're just letting it sit in the boiling water so it basically just softens and it's on very minimal, like you're almost just steaming it.
Right.
And then you're going to throw in a big, massive bag of spinach in it and kale. And then you're going to do on a separate pan, you're going to have olive oil, or I mean, olive oil works the best, like pure, get organic, pure European olive oil, and then a lot of garlic in it. And you roast, like you basically roast the garlic. And then you throw that in with your salt. And, you know, you could do your pure salt from the Himalayas or wherever, right? And then you just mix that. You blend it. You can use a hand blender.
Right.
So that is like an absolute fabulous cleaner. So between that every day for your lunch, and then you can have whatever you want with that. You have your cup of soup. In the summer, it can be cold. In the winter, it's hot. You can throw parsley in it too, because I throw parsley in it as well. And like I say, when you throw the spinach in it and this parsley and the kale, it's all raw. You don't put it in the steam or nothing. Like you're not steaming the broccoli and the cauliflower because they're hard, but you're not boiling them. So, and those are really, really good for your body, and they clean out your blood, actually.
Yeah.
And so does the stock that I make.
This is all this the blood gain. And that reminds me, my friend who cured herself of cancer told me that cabbage is the most heavy metal chelating vegetable we can get. And, you know, I'm huge on macrobiotics. I eat some kind of fermented something every day. Big deal. Get your cabbage, get your, you know, however you want to do it. Try to do it live. Try to eat it instead of ingesting your probiotics in pill form. Okay. And your microgreens. If you have access to organic microgreens, those are the good minerals you want. So important, microgreens, because everything's leached now and we need our mineral content. So those are some great recommendations. Also,
chlorella in a shake in the morning also for breakfast.
Say it again.
Spirulina chlorella in a shake. So like if you're doing spirulina, you can't, it's not really recommended to do both at the same time because you could be a cold organ person or a hot organ person, it depends. Then you have to take the spirulina in the winter and the chlorella in the summer. So it just depends, right? You have to find out.
Right. Get your goodies. Get your orgone and shungite, guys. Big time. I would say, now I watched a fabulous webinar Carrie Cassidy did with the leading shungite expert. And they were talking about how powerful shungite is. And, you know, I already loved shungite, but it was really validating hearing how much more powerful it was from her, you know, expert background. And then, you know, separate note, I the other day looked up the apparently leaked Illuminati playing cards, okay? One of them talks about orgone in the way that they're bummed that we have access to it. So they tell like it's really powerful. Watch out for it because if they get a hold of it, they really empower themselves. So I'll just put that out there. Orgone and shungite, I think, are two really powerhouse protectors.
Yeah, it's really good. Also, copper.
Yes.
Still together. So,
right.
You know, if you can put a sheet of copper beneath your bed with like, you can get the copper coils that go all the way up. So you get a sheet of copper with a copper coil and you can put crystals in it, or you can put a large one in the center.
Yeah. And you know, an easy one that Lauda talked about, we haven't talked about enough, of course, but is nature. Go get barefoot, go earth, go ground, be in nature, take your saltwater baths, do your negative ionizing, you know. Yeah, get in the water, get in clean water. And oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. Big deal right now.
Learn how to breathe, like you said, breathe.
Yeah, deep, deep, deep breathing. And it's okay when you start doing those practices. So I've done twice now where I did breathing with somebody who teaches breathing. So it was like you pay to go to this event, and they take you through basically 20 minutes of really intense breathing. You do it to music, and they prepped us, but they said, you can start sweating, you can get chills, you can faint, you can lock up, you can seize, you can feel whatever it is, just keep breathing. No, that's okay. And because the first time I like almost fainted, but I knew it was okay. And then the second time, I, we were laying down, and our jaw started to clench, and my hands did this, and then I couldn't stop them, but my arms started going up and out, and I was like tapping the woman's foot next to me, but I couldn't stop. I was like, it was like this, and it lasted for like 10 minutes, but I knew it was okay because they told me it was okay. And then I was buzzing for like 10 minutes after. And then it went into like a mini sound bath. So I just went into the most blissed out thing. But if they hadn't told me that, it would have scared me. Now I know this can be a reaction to severe fear. People get that. And I told her, I told the group, and she's like, yeah, arms or heart. And I'm like, my ego's all, what do you mean? My heart's blocked? Me? But it's crazy. And that happens. But when, after a few rounds of it, it goes away because you've run the energy blocks.
Yeah.
So don't be scared when weird things happen if they happen.
Yeah.
Because you're clearing it. That's what you're doing. You're clearing it out. That's a form of detox. Yeah. Yeah. Or crying. Yeah. Most of the people would just lose it. And that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then again, I want to repeat, only take in as much information as you need to be informed. Please don't bypass your integration time. You guys, this is trigger time, okay? Everybody's getting triggered. Cognitive dissonance is dissolving. It doesn't help to go into full disassociation. If it happens, it's okay, but there is a very fine line between accessing the information and just going into shock, where you fly out of body, right? And I think it's important to tell the difference, because when you disassociate, it takes you a while to get back in, and it might be days later till you realize how truly upset you are for taking in that much information. And I know I overemphasize this right now because I have a lot of people, whether they're students, clients, viewers, who are extremely triggered by a lot of the information accumulated from what I brought through and what they're learning and happening. And that's a big part of this process. Like, what's happening, guys? Everybody's scared. They're in fear. They're scared because they don't have a clue what's going on. So it is good to be informed. But we need to be mature about how we're learning it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And learn how to discern when you are reaching that point, because the dissociation has programmed people to not even become aware of how to discern when they're disassociating.
Yes.
So,
and you helped me tremendously on that, because I disassociate. Lauda will catch me in a session. She'll be like, look at your eyes right now. You're disassociated. I'll be like, oh yeah? What do you mean?
No, but
I'm not. And it's intriguing how this synthetic passivity is a perfect mock-up of the disassociation. Right? So another reason why it's so important to understand frequency signatures, because the disassociation is almost like a lack of the signature. So you have to be able to identify that and discern it. And that's one of their key signatures too, is the disassociation, right?
That's all the mind programming is based on disassociation. The mind programming, it isn't just, the government projects and the elite projects and the university projects and the military projects and the media projects and the music projects and the, medical system projects. And it's everything.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
It's all based in disassociation.
Yeah.
And hiding everything in plain sight, so you don't even know it's there and you don't even ask any questions.
Right. And then throw in a good old pattern interrupt, and there you go, new neural pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so we did want to wrap it up on talking about some ways in which we can understand how to get better at discerning our spirit, our quantum, our quintessence, whatever you want to call it. And Lauda, you had some really good points on that. If you want to elaborate a bit what we were talking about.
Well, which point? Because there's so many.
Well, so I guess we could first go into the trust. One easy way, I think, to start to know that you're accessing spirit is to have faith that you are. So I was telling Lauda that, before I woke up to a lot of what agenda certain beings have and what's happening when I'm channeling, I channeled religiously for 15 years. Okay. I mean, I was so good at it. I probably still am, and I channeled not just for my monies, but I channeled all day to my guides, chit chat my friends, my buddies, whatever, talk to my plant. I just still talk to the plant, but and when that was something that I was really enjoying, I had to trust significantly that it was true, right? Because the doubt, it makes you waver and it shifts the frequency and it opens you up, makes you more susceptible, and then you're unsure of yourself. And so why not trust it? Why not have a strong grounded trust and knowing in abilities and your access, even if you're still fine-tuning, right? Now, I no longer channel. I see it as possession, and I think it's very dangerous to do. And I trust that thoroughly as well. Though I can see that trust is a huge tool I have. It's like the way I'm seeing it right now is it's like a buoy in water. It always bounces back up to the surface. And it's a requirement of mine to know what's what, to discern. So, faith might be a triggering word for people that don't like religion, though trust, I think, is understandable. We have to have trust in ourselves. Because until we've cleared out all of these toxicities, whether it be cellular, any kind of biological, whether it be radiation interference, whether it be toxicities in the astral planes or toxicities of our fragments or of our negative belief systems, we have to have trust, because there's so many things that can get in the way if you don't. So that's one thing that I had brought up.
And what I will say about how trust works, so that people can begin to comprehend the nature of manifestation and creation, is I find with people, the more that you can give them to imagine so that they can relate to it, it's easier for them to lock in on the signature, right? Mm-hmm. So trust what you're feeling, seeing, sensing, that all your senses are actually picking up what's truly genuinely there, is as easy as knowing that before you had a physical form, you were already using what you already know to be there. We created eyes and ears in this format because this is a type of creation we're experiencing, but we never needed it per se because we were the all and are the all, right? So the fact that we are now housed in a vessel, that's a choice for our creation process of where we're going, which is the great becoming, which is what we are and have always been. So we have come from the place where all senses come from. Therefore, there's nothing not to trust. Mm-hmm. It's only the physical housing that is screwing with people's minds, because now you just have something physical, but it's a part of how we chose to experience the senses that are already there. Now
Right.
it's through this filter. That's all. There's nothing changed. You can
Right.
close your eyes, okay, and still see everything that's around you. This happened to me all the time, like all the time. So I used to have a really hard time sleeping because I would close my eyes, but my eyes were open. Like I was still seeing everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I could put something on my eyes and I still see everything, right?
Get their eyes
So
wide open.
I had to learn to train myself to be able to close my eyes or at
Yeah.
least let them sleep. Like, so just turn them off for now so this body can get some sleep at least.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I'm communicating with myself. Can you do that? Do you think I make it a little easier so that I'm in here?
Come
Like,
on,
no,
bestie.
my eyes are open, but I don't need them open all the time. Can we just work something out there?
It's funny.
So, but that's the true reality of it. Your eyes are actually always open,
Yes.
right? But now that you have this physical form, you've got these eyes that you've been trained, and the program is training you that you know, what do you learn in school? You have five senses. Ridiculous.
I know. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Five senses. Are you kidding me? I'm not an amoeba. Like,
Yeah.
I come from everything that ever existed. I am the sum total of that. So I don't have five senses. I have 5 gazillion infinities, you know,
Yeah.
senses.
That's a great. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
So people just have to know that, like, you know, just know that you come from it all. So there's no, this is just this is not a permanent house. You could choose to have this as a permanent house if you want, like if you're really into it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, okay, there's no limit. Like, but for now it's not. It's just one form that we've
Yeah.
taken, but all of everything that we are is just neatly having a relationship with this house.
When you decalcify your pineal, you'll be able to keep your eyes open like Lauda does at night.
Yeah, that will never get sleep. And it'd be like, well, my eyes are open, right? Like I'm like feeling like
Yeah,
no, they're closed, right? They're closed. I have like a big thick black mask on. They're pretty close. Nope.
that's like the amazing children in India that get to go to that awesome school that I wish I could enroll in, when they just, the teacher holds up the flashcard and they're like, yellow, orange, red ball. I'm like, I want to go to this school.
Yeah, and I think they were actually re-taught what they have.
Yeah, yeah, they had to be
So,
retaught even at that age.
right. It's there, right?
Yeah,
The way you think.
right,
Shift the way you think you have a relationship with yourself.
right. Absolutely. You had mentioned, which is something that I think people get, and I did this for a long time too. Uh, the philosophy, I guess, of everything and nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
can be so ephemeral.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to have some kind of actual understanding of that. And something that I learned from a YouTube channel called Theoria Apophosia, and the gentleman is a magnetician. And I loved this so much because it gave me a definitive understanding of this. Is he takes I don't know the name of it. There's a specific name for it. It's like a magnetic microscope, so you can see into the magnet. And he explained that you can take any magnet and slice it 1,000 times. It makes 1,000 magnets. Doesn't matter. Every single magnet will always have an invisible plane of inertia. And that plane of inertia is a null point. It's a 0 point. It is 0 point, which, you know, if we talk about quantum physics, it's nothingness. It's pure non-manifest potential energy. It's ether. It's spirit. Okay. Now we perceive that a negative polarity magnet attracting to a positive polarity magnet are attracting to each other. But that's just our perception. What's actually happening is they're equally and simultaneously magnetizing to an invisible null point, a plane of inertia. Therefore, the most magnetic substance in this existence is nothingness.
Nothing.
It's spirit. It's everything and it's nothing. And it's the most magnetic experience there is. So therefore, if we can access that nothingness, and when I was teaching it, I would teach it as acceptance. I'd say you don't have to, if you find some place of acceptance or allowance or forgiveness or peace or trust, they're all the same in frequency in a way. And it doesn't mean you have to accept that what they're doing is okay, or that you even can accept what's happening.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you're super triggered about this. We're upset, this is happening. Well, if we can activate this still point in any form, it doesn't have to be about this. We all know that what it's like to have a body. I can accept that I'm human. I can accept that I can talk. I can accept that I can tie my shoes. Therefore, I can activate the frequency of acceptance right now. In that frequency, it doesn't have to be about this, is enough. It suffices. So in that acceptance, I am spirit, I'm accessing spirit. That is truth. I trust that because it's everything, right? So these are some easy ways in which we're constantly accessing spirit. We might not think about it that way because maybe our version of spirit is like very divine and some kind of astral projection type experience. It's everything. It's this damn jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything, because we created everything that we're experiencing. So everything is in it and nothing, because it stems from nothing. But what's happening, a lot of people waking up are actually experiencing terror in association with this, the deep, as I call it. It's a terror because when you realize the nature of creation, it is terrifying. It's not so much the deep, although the deep does terrify them, because if they haven't touched it in their memory that they can recall since they came out of it, then suddenly to find yourself created, and it's almost, this is the opposite effect. And this is why a lot of people have such a hard time with reality and the nature of reality, and they find themselves victims, and they find themselves that they don't know how to work this reality. So they're afraid of their own creation. They're terrorized of their own creation. See? Yeah. And that place is the place where they're touching that emptiness. When you touch it, it can be a really overwhelming thing to experience that you are created and have manifested from the great spark, and suddenly you are a part of everything, because you always were, but you didn't know you were when you were in the deep. You were just, it just was. So creation is actually traumatizing.
Right.
It's traumatizing. But to have recognition of it
is mass responsibility, man.
Right.
It's the most responsible role in existence.
So it's almost like you have to go through that, because it's not going to just stop being terrorizing for you when you start touching that.
Right.
To touch that and to know it consciously is to recognize and realize everything. And you just
touch that process.
Right. So you have to just go through it to be able to trust yourself and because that's all tied in with people's triggers of fear of survival and fear of the things that they've experienced karmically, and it just attaches everything to that. And suddenly they're just, it's like a super burn victim.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. And I think I want to note that sometimes when I've experienced this, when I'm in a heavy space and I'm trying to learn, I'm really trying to understand, and somebody who maybe has more awareness in that moment of the topic says something like, just trust. I'm like, F off, just trust. I'm traumatized, don't you know, Well, I want to note that because I just want to share that Lauda and I have both experienced so much trauma thoroughly and experienced it through so many multidimensional awareness versions that I hope that we don't come off in that way of like, oh, you can just trust or access spirit. Oh, hell no. Suffering is a part of our MO, It's probably the reason you and I both work so much with trauma. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's our expertise is trauma, because we embrace it because we have to. To be human is to be traumatized.
And because it's through embracing it actually, and recognizing your relationship to how it all works through your creation bodies, that you actually access your power.
Yes.
It's not through denial or disassociation,
Right.
or ignoring it, or trying to like hold on to crutches that are so comfortable.
Yep.
No, it's through just facing it, and facing your darkest fears.
Yes. And this is a perfect external projection of that natural process that's required in order to awaken. We have to dive into the depth, into the fear, into the dark, in order to access the true quantum. And this projection externally of that fear and that terror is mocking that up. It's all inverted. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're experiencing the inversion first, the equal opposite to that is your truth. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't know how, just take that as like a foundational knowing, like 1 + 2 = 3 in our math. You know.
Yeah. And also our math, 1 + 2 = 9.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe I use the wrong term. The way we've been taught, but anyhow, you know what I mean.
But it's true, absolutely. And that's maybe a way that people, it isn't about running from it. You have to actually run through it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, wonderful. Lauda, I love you. You're so fabulous. I'm so happy.
I love you, Chloe.
Opportunity. Finally. Okay, guys, my name is Chloe Hudson. WorldPeaceProjects.global is my website, and World Peace Projects is my YouTube channel. And you?
Lauda Leon, Sovereign Key, and sovereignkey.com is my website, and Sovereign Key YouTube.
And we both offer fabulous healings sessions, a variety of such. If you would like a session with Lauda, book it ASAP. This lady is booked out 4 months, and her prices are very affordable. If you'd like to book with me, I currently have discounted pricing to assist the financial dip. That won't last, so check it out if you want to give it a try. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We love you. We are here with you. Please give us feedback, comment, ask us questions. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Chloe. I love you.
Love you too.
I love you.